Hello and welcome to NihongoGamer Ultimate Comparison. Today we're going to be looking at new Nintendo 3DS and comparing it to new Nintendo 3DS XL. Now a lot has changed between the old Nintendo 3DS and these new Nintendo 3DS models, and I've already covered them in a separate video, so I'll put the link to that video in the description below. However, in this video we'll be looking at mainly the difference between the new Nintendo 3DS and the new Nintendo 3DS XL. Now Nintendo's done a great job of bringing the regular model and the larger model closer together in terms of design, size, and features. However, there are still some significant differences that may influence your decision when you're deciding which one to go for, like the fact that this has a larger screen but it's still smaller than the XL screen. They're designed a little differently. This has cover plates, whereas this one does not have changeable cover plates. However, you can buy special edition models with special designs on them. They've both got the C stick, they both have the ZL and ZR buttons, they both have Amiibo with the NFC functionality, and they both have 3D blur reduction. However, size-wise they're quite significantly different, so they're going to feel different to play in your hands. They're both going to be slightly different pocket-wise if you're going to try and like stuff them into your pocket. Let's get in and compare them straight away. Size-wise, the new Nintendo 3DS is a little larger than before. It is 142 millimeters long, it is 80.6 millimeters tall, and it is 21.6 millimeters thick. Compare that with the new Nintendo 3DS XL. It is 160 millimeters long, it is 93.5 millimeters tall, and is 21.5 millimeters thick. This is a tenth of a millimeter thicker. However, you can see the XL model is longer and it is taller, and that is going to make a very big difference as to whether it's going to fit into your pocket or not. I've got some more or less skinny jeans on at the moment. You can see it is big enough, just barely, to fit a Galaxy Note Edge. Try and put the new Nintendo 3DS into my pocket as well. It will fit perfectly. There's a bit of a bulge here. You really won't have any problems getting that into a skinny jeans pocket. Let's go ahead and put the metallic blue new Nintendo 3DS XL into my pocket as well. It has a much more noticeable bulge. I wouldn't be comfortable walking around with this in my main pocket unless I absolutely had to. Just so you can see, this is the new Smash Brothers edition as well. So you can see it just generally kind of juts out just slightly out of this pocket. Now in terms of weight, the regular model is 253 grams and the new Nintendo 3DS XL is 329 grams. But when you hold them in your hands, they feel quite similar, and I'm owing that to the fact that this has a wider weight distribution. So you always, I think in your mind, you're just comparing the weight to the size of the object, and density-wise, they have a very similar density. So actually, yeah, they feel about the same weight, but obviously the larger model is a bit heavier. They've both gone for the original 3DS XL design. However, obviously there are some significant differences, like you can take the cover plates off the regular model, and that will obviously make a big difference to people who want to personalize their device. If we just compare the screen sizes, you can see on the regular model, we have a 3.88-inch diagonal screen and a 3.33-inch diagonal screen here on the bottom, whereas on the XL model we have a 4.88-inch screen on the top and a 4.1-inch screen on the bottom. It is bigger than the old model, but the larger screen just is a lot bigger actually, and when you play games you really will notice it. That being said, this screen is larger than before, and I never really missed the larger XL screen. When I've had this on the train or when I've just been out and about playing it, I never really thought like I wish I had brought my XL. Like the original XL, they both open up to this normal position, but they also open up to this slightly more laptop style position, and that does help if you're looking at your 3DS from further away, or if you're like maybe watching a YouTube video on it or something. In terms of build quality, I would say the regular model feels a bit more like a toy. The clicks are not quite as loud, and it just doesn't feel like it's quite as tight as the new XL model. The new XL model has a louder kind of click to it, and also just with the metallic finish and everything about it, it just feels a little more professional, particularly well suited to people who are looking for a more adult style. That being said, you can still have a very adult style on the regular model depending on what cover plates that you choose, and especially if you get these translucent covers, you can put any design in here that you like, so you don't even have to have a game-themed cover. Just comparing the hardware on the outside, again, they are very similar in design, but let's just have a look at the top. You can see that all the buttons are in more or less the same place. You even have the wrist strap in exactly the same place. The buttons are a very, very similar feel on both units. They've got the card slot here on the bottom, they've got the headphone jack there in the middle, they've got the touch pen in exactly the same place. However, when you look at the power button, you can see that the new model actually kind of protrudes by about tenth of a millimeter, whereas on the new Nintendo 3DS regular edition, it's like completely flush. So actually, I do find myself accidentally pressing this power button sometimes, whereas on the regular model, I've never accidentally pressed it. In fact, it's actually a little difficult to press. Let's have a look at the touch pen. They both come out of the exact same place on both consoles here, but as you can see on the new Nintendo 3DS XL, it has a much thicker, slightly longer stylus pen than the regular model. The regular model is a little bit shorter, but they both feel like it's enough. They're very comfortable to hold. Obviously, this one's a little more comfortable to hold, but on the regular model, it just feels a little stick thin. I don't think it's going to break, but it feels a bit like a toothpick, so as long as that doesn't bother you. Looking at the hardware changes on the inside, as far as I know, they are very, very similar. They both have a faster processor, which means that they can run exclusive new Nintendo 3DS games. They both have amiibo functionality built into the screen, so NFC is built into the screen right here. They both have 3D blur reduction, so you can turn them and still be able to play games without it going blurry. They've both got adaptive brightness, so that when it gets darker, the screen will change automatically. And then looking on the outside, they actually both have the new camera. They have the same resolution as before, but they have better low light performance, which means that if you take pictures on your 3DS, they're going to look a lot better than before. And also, if you play augmented reality games where you have 3D markers, it's just going to work better. The camera's going to be able to recognize them more easily. Now, if we remove the back cover and actually have a look at the batteries on both of these units, you can see they both have removable batteries, which is very convenient if you want to buy a second battery so that you can play more games on the go. And also, if we look at the different batteries, you can see they have different capacities. This is 1400 milliamp hours, and this is 1750 milliamp hours. Now, that doesn't necessarily mean that this one will last longer, but it is a bigger battery for a device that uses more power. And according to the official data, this model will get 3.5 to 6 hours of battery, whereas the XL will get 3.5 to 7 hours of battery. Officially, the new 3DS XL will last an hour longer than the regular new Nintendo 3DS. Also, while we have the covers removed here, let's have a look at the SD cards. You can see that they both have micro SDHC cards, and they are both 4 gigabytes in capacity. They are in fact the same card. On the regular model, if you put a cover on the back, it will only cover this rectangular portion on the back of the console. Whereas on the new Nintendo 3DS XL, the regular cover actually goes all the way over the edge and around the bottom. If a third-party developer were going to come up with a case to go around the back, it would cover the sides as well as the back of the device. So it has the potential to have a more enveloping case. There is no way to remove the top cover of the new Nintendo 3DS XL. That being said, you can put those plastic covers on which kind of snap onto the front of the device like this. Ergonomics-wise, they do feel a little bit different. Keep in mind that the new model is taller than the original 3DS, so it is a bit more comfortable. It does rest on your palm a bit here. However, in comparison to the new Nintendo 3DS XL, you're kind of holding it in your fingertip. On the new XL model, it actually rests on the palm in a very comfortable place, which means that all the buttons are in exactly the place that you would hope they would be. This one's going to be less tiring to hold for long periods of time. If you're a monster hunter, you're going to end up at a slightly more cramped position. That said, it is a significant improvement over the old Nintendo 3DS. If you look here, design-wise and layout-wise, everything is very, very similar. The analog stick and the D-pad are both almost in exactly the same position as each other. It is just this extra bit here that will just make it rest in your palm a little more easily. The XY AB buttons are also in a very similar position. I would say on the new model, the buttons are ever so slightly larger than the buttons over here, but they are both very comfortable to press. Regarding the C-stick, actually, they're in a very similar position. You can see the placement is very, very similar, and so actually, you will not notice much of a difference between the small model and large model. Only the fact that, you know, again, because it's not resting on your palm here, that you may be tempted to put your thumb more onto it like this, whereas on the new model, because your palm rests here, you just won't be as tempted to put your thumb all the way over the screen. You might be more comfortable to just rest it there and to use it like this. Alright, let's see which one turns on first. I'll press the power buttons at the same time on both units, and I'm not even going to bother with the timer because we can just see which one gets there first, and exactly the same, so they are exactly the same speed at turning on. Let's see how they compare in terms of brightness. This is setting number 1, this is setting number 2, this is setting number 3, this is setting number 4, and this is setting number 5. So I would say they're pretty identical in terms of screen brightness. Obviously you have the larger screen here on the right, but they do not really seem like one screen is brighter or darker than the other. Okay, I have the exact same game running on both consoles here. This is Pokemon X, and as you can see, they both have that nice high contrast screen. It is a little bit higher contrast than the old Nintendo 3DS. However, you can see at a glance, this smaller screen is really, you know, quite a bit smaller than the XL. It's just so much more luxurious to have this nice big screen to play with. Out and about, you won't really remember that you've got a smaller screen. It's bigger than the original 3DS, so it's still a nice screen to have, and you won't think that you need your XL when you're out and about. However, if you do hold them side by side, you can see that this screen is significantly more luxurious. Alright, I have the same game running on both consoles here. However, this is Monster Hunter 4 and this is Monster Hunter 4 Ultimate, so there may be some color discrepancies, but in general, you can see they both look fantastic. I mean, this screen is smaller, but it is larger than the old 3DS, and I'm having no trouble playing it on this smaller console. I would also say that I don't feel like my hands are getting cramped up. It is a very comfortable fit, and that's because the console is a bit longer than before. Compare that with the larger console, and I would say that you just feel like you're not really holding a console. It's because it just feels so comfortable on the palm here. It kind of disappears in your hand, and you just play the game, so you're not focusing on whether it's comfortable or not. You can just spend all your time just enjoying the game and having a good time. The C stick and the ZL and ZR buttons, they're exactly the same. I would say that the fit, yeah, it feels a little more comfortable on the larger model. For Monster Hunters, maybe the LL is a better choice, but I wouldn't say that you would go wrong with either console either way. Okay, just for fun, I've actually swapped them around, so now Monster Hunter 4 Ultimate is running on the regular model, and Monster Hunter 4 is running on the XL model. And as you can see, the contrast and saturation is ever so slightly better on the XL model. It is not a world of difference, but you can see just very, very slightly that we're getting darker blacks and redder reds on the XL model when compared to the slightly more washed out regular new Nintendo 3DS. That said, the difference is so very slight that you really would not notice the difference in practice, unless you're playing Monster Hunter on two consoles at the exact same time. Yeah, you just really wouldn't notice. They look fantastic on both models. Alright, it's time for the all-important volume test. Everyone wants to know which console is louder than the other, so let's go ahead and try them in order. Okay, if I'm completely honest, I would say they sound exactly the same. There really is no difference in terms of loudness, and I really could not tell them apart from each other. You can see the speaker's shape and size is exactly the same as well. The holes are the same size. I don't know if the actual speaker is the same on the inside, but I'm really thinking that maybe it is, because they do sound exactly the same. So you're not going to get a louder device by going for the larger or the smaller model. On both consoles, we should have the exact same Wi-Fi performance, so let's test it and see what happens. They're both 2,200 blocks. It should take a few minutes. Let's see how long they take to download. Alright, they're both preparing. It looks like they're moving at a similar pace. They've both started at exactly the same time. Okay, we're about a minute into the download, and actually it looks like the XL model is significantly further into downloading than the regular model. Okay, this is an incredible surprise. We're at 3 minutes, and the XL is pretty much 90% complete. We're at about 3 minutes and 50 seconds. We're complete. Okay, so on the new Nintendo 3DS XL, we have finished downloading at 3 minutes and 55 seconds. On the regular new Nintendo 3DS, I think we're up to at about 35% and still going. Alright, closing in on almost 6 minutes now. Okay, this is absolutely outrageous. We're coming up to 8 minutes now. And is it finished? Okay, it is finally complete, and that is at 14 minutes and 30 seconds on the timer. The 3DS XL finished in 3 minutes and 57 seconds, and on the new Nintendo 3DS, we finished at 14 minutes and 30 seconds. This can't be true, so I'm gonna do a rematch now. Okay, it's time for a rematch. I now have a Doraemon game loaded up here. I'm actually going going to give the new Nintendo 3DS regular model a slight head start just to double check that the new XL model was not hogging all the bandwidth from my wireless router. So I'm just going to click first on the new Nintendo 3DS, and then I'm going to click on it second on the new 3DS XL. Alright, the new Nintendo 3DS is definitely benefiting from that head start that I gave it. Okay, we're at 50 seconds, and it looks like the new Nintendo 3DS is already 50% complete. Okay, I think it's probably complete on the regular Nintendo. Okay, so that's 1 minute and 50 seconds for the regular model. This is getting kind of ridiculous. I really don't think this test is really proving anything. Almost there. Let's see if we can do it before the 8-minute mark. It looks like it might not make it. Okay. And finished. So the scores show that the new Nintendo 3DS XL is 4 times slower than the new Nintendo 3DS, even though on the previous download it was 3.5 times faster than the new Nintendo 3DS. Test conclusion? Completely inconclusive. Alright, it's time for the new Nintendo 3DS photography competition. Let's put this one off to the side. Let's take a normal picture with the new Nintendo 3DS. It looks pretty good, similar to the photo that we've taken in the past. So I'll get him ready to get about the same photo, the same angle. And you can see that photo looks pretty much identical. This one's got a slightly more greenish tinge to it, but they are both the same quality. And I would say that they both aren't suffering, they're not really suffering from any noise or anything. They both look pretty good. Alright, now it's time for the low light photography contest. I've only got a single light on in the background, and alright, looks pretty good. It's just become a little noisier than it was before. Hopefully the same angle with the new Nintendo 3DS XL. Alright, that photo looks pretty good. Again, it's become a little noisier than before. The new Nintendo 3DS definitely has a slightly bluish tinge to it, whereas the 3DS XL has a slightly more natural color tone. I don't know which one I prefer. They both are not suffering too badly in low light. Maybe I prefer the new Nintendo 3DS XL just because it has a slightly more natural tone to it. If you entered this into a competition for photography, you'd probably lose. Alright, just to be fair, I've got them all in their factory state now. This is the new Nintendo 3DS with its regular factory included white cover plates. Now you can see it is not completely white, it's slightly creamy, sort of off-white in color. It is a fantastic, it does look really, really good, but just keep in mind it's not plain, actual complete white, whereas this is a new Nintendo 3DS XL, and it is nice and blue and metallic, but it is a glossy finish. So just straight out of the box, if you don't like the sort of fingerprint magnet quality of the metallic blue, you might want to think twice about going for a glossy model. The Super Smash Bros. Edition of the new Nintendo 3DS has all the features that you would expect of a new Nintendo 3DS, but also with the glossy finish and this really awesome design. Because it has this design on it, you don't notice the fingerprints quite as much because you're distracted by the characters, whereas if you have just a plain cover, the fingerprints are just a little bit more obvious because you don't have anything else to distract you from the smudges. I think if you chose any of these models, you'd be happy with any of them. This one looks great if you love Smash Brothers, but if you're not a fan, this is obviously not the one for you. If you like the just awesome professional kind of quality, and also it feels a bit more professional in terms of build quality, then the metallic blue or the metallic black would be great as well. And if you just need the size and portability, you just cannot go wrong with this small, regular new Nintendo 3DS. It is the perfect balance in terms of screen size and also just pocketability. Okay, I hope that answered all your questions. I've done my best to cover the differences between the regular, the LL model, and even the special edition model. However, I know that it's difficult to decide which one you want to go for. I'll just say it like this. I think as long as you get a new Nintendo 3DS in some shape or form, I think you'll be very happy with your purchase, because you still get those main features, the amiibo features, the 3D blur reduction, the fact that they've both got this fantastic design, they've both got the C-stick, they've got the ZL buttons and ZR buttons. I think you'll be happy either way. Don't forget to comment, subscribe, share all the links and all that good stuff, and I'll see you in the next video. Just happened to look at YouTube and notice that the number of subscribers is over 9,000! Over 9,000! Over 9,000! 9,000? There's no way that can be right. It's all down to you guys. Thank you so much for subscribing, commenting, sharing the links, pressing like buttons. Everything you guys do is just awesome. Just want to say thank you so much and how happy I am that this channel's growing. I'm just glad to see more people getting the content that they're looking for, and let's just keep growing and growing.